Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, and we're doing a live Q&A in the golf simulator room, which is where we're at, and we're with the Supra behind us. The golf simulator also acts as another garage, which is nice, since I have a few too many cars right now. So we're gonna do live questions and answers. So we'll wait a little bit here while people join. Hi, everybody. I just got a nice hey, Mark. So if you guys have questions, ask them right away. And then yes, that's a Supra. If I don't answer them, don't be afraid to keep asking them again, because I can only see so much while I'm answering a question, and I'll try to answer them, but we'll go from there. First off, while I'm waiting for a few questions to come in, is really cool. My book on negotiating real estate that I wrote with Jay Scott and Carol Scott, you can get this in Target now. So that's kind of a cool deal, like online Target. I was on the online Target site, and there was our book. So that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, stock portfolio reveal. I will reveal my stock portfolio, and it is really easy to reveal because it's like nothing. That's it. I have nothing, so sorry. Some of my other books, if you guys haven't seen them, Buying into Success, that's a fiction book about Mo, who buys a house, how to become a great real estate agent, build a rental property empire, which has almost 1,000 reviews now on Amazon, so make sure you check that one out. Oh, we got some questions. Cool. Oh, let's see here. Quick question. What are your thoughts on rental arbitrage? Arbitrage is when you rent a property and then you rent it again, right? I'm not a huge fan of that. I know you can make some money, but it's kind of like giving yourself a job. You don't have equity, you don't own the property, you don't have the tax advantages, you don't have the leverage. So to me, I would much rather actually own properties, have the leverage, have the loans, have the appreciation, have the tax advantages, than leasing from someone else. And it gets kind of tricky because are you telling them everything you're doing? There's some liability involved, so I'm not a fan of rental arbitrage. All right, thank you about the book. Cost for a book in store? I have no idea. I think Bigger Pockets publishes that, so I don't know if they have to pay for that. I have no idea. I don't pay anything for it, so there could be a cost. I don't know. All right, do you ever pay off properties early or not? Why not? Ooh, that's a good question. Hold on as I try and not mess this up too much. Oh, stop that. Okay. I paid off my first rental property. Let's get back down here. 3 years after I bought it. So what I did is I bought my first rental in 2010. It was $97,000. Had like a $71,000 loan. I bought a few more properties. I took all my cash flow, pulled it together, and paid off that rental in 3 years. And a lot of people were so excited and thought it was awesome. And it was actually one of the worst things I ever did, which seems crazy, but I paid $70,000 extra pretty much to save $400 a month. So I could have taken that $70,000 and bought 2 more properties, and I would have been so much better off buying those properties. That first rental property I bought for $97,000. I sold it in 2019 for $275,000. Right now, that property is probably worth $340,000, $350,000. So instead of saving $400 a month, I cost myself hundreds of thousands of dollars by paying off that property early. So actually, after I paid it off like a year later, I refinanced it, took cash out, bought more properties. So I'd much rather take that money and buy more properties than pay off a 3-4% loan. I can just make so much more buying more properties. All right, now let's see here, get to more questions. Are you all in on digital real estate on Upland? Oh, that's a good question. I love Upland. It is like a virtual real estate monopoly. So it's kind of like you're investing and playing a game at the same time, which is really cool, because usually a lot of times you have to pay money to play games, and you can like sort of make money to play games. So it's really fun. I have no idea how big it will get, if it will get big, if it will fizzle out. But to me, it's really fun right now. So I have 150 some properties in Upland. So I am buying a lot. They're releasing Los Angeles soon, so I'm pretty excited for that. And yeah, I even have my own virtual real estate channel on YouTube. So if you guys want to check out Mark's Virtual Real Estate, I go over everything I'm doing in Upland. All right, I have 1 rental and about $40,000 in the bank. What should my next move be? Buy another rental. I think that's fairly simple. Of course, it's easier said than done. You have to find the right market, the right property, always get a good deal, try to buy with good cash flow. That's my strategy with buying rental properties. But yeah, I think it's hard to go wrong buying properties. Let's see. Oh, come on. There we go. At what age did you start and how did you start? So I graduated from the University of Colorado in 2001, and I wanted to get a finance job that paid me $100,000 a year right off the bat, and for some reason nobody would do that. So I went to work for my dad part-time, making $10 an hour, painting houses, doing landscaping, and I was an on-site manager at an apartment complex as well to get cheaper rent. And eventually I decided I kind of liked real estate, and so I got my real estate license in 2003 or 2002, I always get that mixed up, one of those years, and helped him on flips once in a while. But that's when I started really getting into real estate, and then I helped ramp up the flips and do more and more of that later on, and bought my first rental in 2010. It took me a while to really get into rental properties, but rental properties are really what has built my wealth. All right. How much is the book? Oh, how much is the book in the bookstore? I think it was $17 on the Target website, if I remember right. So, oh, thank you. How do you feel about coming recession, and how do you plan on mitigating risk losing rental properties? I don't think that there's going to be any kind of downturn in the real estate market. I know that sounds crazy. The only downturns, major downturns we've had have been in the 1830s, 1870s, 1930s, and 2008. All of them were caused by massive overbuilding and absolutely horrible lending standards, and neither of that's happening. We have too little building and the strictest lending standards ever. And even if we have a recession, there's no direct correlation between recessions and real estate. People say there is, but there's tons of recessions and only 4 crashes ever. So I don't think there's going to be a drop in real estate prices unless for some reason they just start building like crazy. Look at almost any product. If there's ample demand, the prices is almost always based on of how much it costs to build, right? A car, food, everything is based on the cost to produce it. And if something is making a massive profit and there's tons of room for profit, more people will come in, build more things, drive down the profit. If there's not enough profit, people stop producing them, right? And then inventory shrinks, there's less available, but prices usually don't crash. It just usually doesn't happen. So I would not count on a recession happening. Having said that, I always plan for the worst. So every property I have, I try to get an amazing deal on, no matter what, and that's one way to mitigate that risk. All right. How can I find a good wholesaler? That's a good question. I have a video and an article on Invest for More about that. Usually reverse marketing is a great way to find a wholesaler. So if you have properties, that helps. But if you get letters, you get postcards, you find bandit signs on the side of the road, you find Craigslist ads for wholesalers trying to sell properties, call them up and try and get in touch with them. Or if they're trying to buy properties as well, call them up, say you're a buyer and you want to get on their list. So remember, 9 out of 10 wholesalers aren't very good, but that 1 out of 10 who is good will be well worth it. All right, keep going down here. Have you ever serviced raw land to subdivide into lots? What's a general number it costs to, say, cut 5 lots out of an acre per lot? Oh, about 3 or 4 years ago, I bought, 23 or 27 acres. I planned to make a minor subdivision of 7 lots, and I ended up just selling it all together. I think I bought it for 110, we sold it for 180. But the time it took and the cost to create a subdivision was astronomical. It was gonna take $350,000 worth of water. So in Colorado, water is extremely expensive. Back then it was cheaper than it is now. I had to buy all that water up front. I had to pave the roads. I had to lay the pipes, get the utilities in. It was gonna cost at least $500,000 for 7 lots. And that would take at least 6 months to a year of approvals to get that approved through the county. And then who knows how long it would take to buy them. So after figuring all the numbers and everything, I figured out it would be better to just keep flipping houses and buying rentals than it was to develop land, because it would take so long and be so time consuming and take so much money. So I have not ever subdivided, made lots, and there's different processes in every state too. So in Colorado, right, you can only subdivide a lot every so often, only certain lots. You can make a subdivision, but that's much more in depth. So it's all very different no matter where you're at. All right, here we go. Look for some more questions. Do you do vending machines? No. I have 2 coin-operated laundry machines. but I want to buy vending machines. So I have, multiple properties, commercial and residential, where I think vending machines would do great. I want to buy them. I just haven't had the time yet. And I also have a store, right? We just bought a store, a liquor store, and a mini mart. Vending machines I think would do great outside of that. So I do want to get into vending machines. I just have not done it yet. All right, keep going through the questions. Would you do another value add shopping center deal outside of Colorado? Maybe. It'd have to be a really good deal though. I just love investing local so much because it's so much easier. I actually looked at one in New Mexico once. It was a pretty good deal. So I would consider it, but it'd really have to be a good deal. If you want to send me one, you can. I'll happily look at it. All right. Oh, there we go. So touchy trying to touch my screen here. Do you do HUD, VASH, VA rents, or to Joe on the street? I think you're saying, I'm not sure what that's saying. Section 8, technically in Colorado, we can't deny someone for Section 8. They have a law that you can't deny someone for type of income. I've never rented to Section 8, not because I don't want to, just because we have very few applicants for our properties, and we've always had, I can't remember why we denied, but it's been very rare we have any. So I've never rented to Section 8. I have nothing against it. I would rent to Section 8 if it's a good tenant. We have inherited Section 8 tenants who were good and some bad, but we've never actually rented to it, but I have nothing against it. It's all, about your strategy, and there's all types of different properties that work for different types of tenants. All right, keep going down here. Oh, I already answered those. What type of lender do you recommend for buying a rental, a conventional lender or portfolio? Okay, so a conventional lender is basically a big bank, usually Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or sometimes local banks who will take that loan and sell it to another bank, mortgage-backed security company, something like that. A portfolio lender is a local bank, credit union that keeps their loan on their own books. So they lend out $200,000. They're not taking that loan and selling it to someone else. They're keeping it in-house. They're keeping it on their books. So a portfolio lender actually has more flexibility and can do more for investors than a conventional lender. So when you're doing your first 4, sometimes even your first 10 loans, a conventional lender can work fine. They can be great. But once you get above 4, especially 10, the portfolio lender is key. You almost have to have them for the flexibility, the DTI, debt to income ratios, being able to do more than 10 loans. A portfolio lender is wonderful. And basically they're local banks, local credit unions that loan their own money. All right, keep going here. 22 years till I graduate as an RN. What would you redo as a 20-year-old knowing the knowledge you have now? That's a really good question. And I think I wrote an article, did a video about this a while ago, what I would do if I was 22 again. So 20 is pretty close. I bought my first house when I was 23, which was pretty cool. But I didn't spend enough time getting a great deal. And that's also kind of pre-crash when things were going crazy. It was hard to get a good deal, but you still could. And I wish if I was going back, I would have bought a house as an owner-occupant, low money down loan. I would have made sure I got an awesome deal, maybe even done an FHA 203K loan where I could rehab it as well. And then I would have turned it into a rental after 1 year, or done a live and flip and sold it after 2 years, not paid any taxes on it because I lived there 2 years, and then done it over and over and over again. So I would have, if I kept the rental after 1 year, I'd go buy another one. Multifamily, sure, or even single family homes, either one works. If I was flipping them every 2 years, I would have kept buying properties, kept flipping them. So going back in time, that's what I would do for sure, is be using my owner-occupant status much more to my advantage as an investor. Now I got good deals later on. I was able to use HELOCs, refinances to take money out and invest more. But by the time I was really able to understand how powerful that strategy was, I had a wife and some kids, and it was much harder to move all the time, and some cars too, where you don't always find really good deals that fit you perfectly sitting around all the time. All right, let's see here. Do you rent to the housing authority? So that's kind of like Section 8 again. We've inherited some tenants from there. We've never actually rented to them, not because we wouldn't, just because it hasn't worked out for whatever reason, and we haven't had that many people apply. So let's see, here's one. Just bought 2 fourplexes, cash flow's great. Great cap rate too, but not much room to build in equity. Is this a bad deal? I get this question a lot, like, should I invest for cash flow if I don't get a good deal? Again, it's a personal decision. I don't want to tell you everything to do because you know your finances better than me. If it's me, I always want a good deal, no matter what. So if it's a fourplex and it cash flows and it's full retail value, I wouldn't buy it. But that's me personally. I would wait to get a good deal. I would try and find a good deal, and then I'd have even more cash flow and more equity in a better investment. So I'm all about the deal. I always want to get a good deal. I want cash flow too, but there's ways to get good deals and cash flow as well, and that's always my goal when investing. Oh, stop doing that. Okay. Real estate is okay, get into crypto. I have some crypto. I know people are surprised. I actually invested in crypto with my IRA a few weeks ago, and then crypto tanked, so there. What are your top strategies to find deals? That's a really good one. I think more than 50% of our deals are still MLS, so a multiple listing service. Those are properties listed by real estate agents. And I am a real estate agent. That's a massive advantage for me. So a lot of people say you can't get deals on there. You can. We're in Colorado, one of the hottest markets there is. We buy deals from the MLS all the time. You have to be patient, right? We might go 3 or 4 months without getting a deal and then buy 3 in one day like we did a couple weeks ago. So there are deals on there. Being an agent is a huge advantage because I can go see the property so fast, write my own contract so fast. I can save money on the commissions, make money as well. So the MLS is definitely one way. If you're not an agent, find a really amazing agent, and they don't have to be experienced. They don't have to be an investor. They have to be hungry, right? And have time for you. So many people say you have to have an investor-friendly agent. Well, technically, I'm an investor-friendly agent. You don't want me. I will take your deals and buy them myself. That's why I don't work with investors. And a lot of times that happens for other people too. So you're the one, you're the investor. You should know what the good deals are. You should be able to try and find them. Your agent is the one who works really hard, drops everything to go show you properties, has time for you. And then another way, of course, wholesalers, finding really good wholesalers is a way to buy deals. That's what we do. I just saw a wholesale deal today that I'm probably going to buy. I'm just waiting for the contract to come back to me. And then there's also networking, direct marketing, FSBO, all that stuff. There's so many different ways to find deals. And again, my YouTube channel goes over how we buy every property. I have a video on finding deals, all kinds of information on there as well. All right. What cap rate do you look for in a rental? That's a really good question here too. So the cap rates vary so much and are so different based on the property, the condition, if it's occupied, if it's stabilized. So if we're buying a commercial property that's vacant, right, it might have a horrible cap rate because it's not getting any rent, but we want to look at what cap rate it will have after it's stabilized. And really, when I buy commercial properties, I want to have an 8 or 9 cap rate or better, which people think is insane because properties are selling for a 5 or 6 cap rate that are stabilized, but I'm buying properties that need work or need tenants or we can add value to. So that's really what I'm going for around here. I really want value add deals. And the same for residential. They're selling for 6.5 cap rate, sometimes less. I want to get at least an 8 or more cap rate once we stabilize it. But again, maybe we have to raise rents, maybe we have to remodel some, change things up. So we're adding value to get to those cap rates. We're not just buying on a straight cap rate when we purchase properties, if that makes sense. All right. Do you impound all of your rentals? I don't know what that means, impound. You might have to explain that one to me if you can. Which do you rent to? Section 8, already talked about those. Most of our tenants are just regular people off the street. How to start now with so much expense, start in real estate. I talked about it earlier, owner occupant, buy a house, turn it into a rental, flip it later on, low money down loans, one of the best ways. You can partner with people, hard money, private money. There's lots of ways to start. Again, it's really hard to discuss all of those right here, but there's a lot of options for starting. How much can you bench? 42 pounds. Let's see. Have you ever served? Oh, I already talked about that one. I wonder if these were, I did tell you guys to repeat questions, so that's okay. Do you still do one-on-one coaching? I have my complete blueprint program where we do conference calls every month. I just had one today actually, where I do a short presentation and answer questions. It's over an hour. Tons of great questions, and I do email questions on there as well, anytime, any point. So it's sort of one-on-one. I don't have any program where I get on the phone and talk to people one-on-one. I just don't have time for that, unfortunately, but my Blueprint program does have email coaching, the conference calls, and a ton of other stuff on it as well. So you can go to investformore.com, to the store on there, and that's on there, and shoot me an email, mark@investformore.com. If you want to get a discount code, I can probably get you one. Is LoopNet or Redfin better? They're totally different. LoopNet is for commercial properties, and it's so expensive, I hate it, but I'm a member of it. So it lists almost all commercial, multifamily properties. Redfin is more of a general residential website, so it really depends on what you're looking for. If you want commercial, LoopNet is good. Crexi, C-R-E-X-I, also has a lot of commercial properties on it as well. Sometimes you'll find them on MLS, but Redfin, it's okay. Really, I don't like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, any of those. I want to see my MLS information directly because it has all the listings on it, whereas those sites don't always have all of them, and sometimes they're delayed. All right, let's see, what time? We've got, well, 5 minutes or so. I almost never use my watch except for this because I can't see my clock on here. All right, just scrolling down to more questions. What's your formula when purchasing multifamily properties? That's a tricky one. I don't really have formulas. I don't like formulas. I don't like rules. I don't like things set in stone. I look at every deal independently. I'm like, okay, how much equity will I have? What kind of deal can I get? What's my end financing going to be? What's my cash flow going to be? What's my cash on cash return going to be? So I don't look at a formula like, oh, it has to sit in this particular box to be perfect. And so generally I want to see a 15% cash on cash return after it's stabilized, assuming I would have put 20% down, if that makes sense. But sometimes we're doing a BRRRR strategy, we're refinancing, we're taking money out. So again, it's so different for me. I just don't like formulas. Everything's different. It depends on how much work a property needs. If a property doesn't need much work, right, it can be a thinner deal. If it needs a ton of work, it's got to have so much meat on the bone. So I don't like formulas. Everything's different. You can kind of see on YouTube what we buy it, and I go into detail on each one, kind of what I'm thinking there. All right, have you ever had to thought of relocation? Oh, participate, okay. I think you're telling me, have I ever decided to invest in other areas of the country? So in 2015, I stopped buying rental properties here in Colorado, looked at Florida, looked at other places, was about to jump into buying properties there, and I found commercial real estate in Colorado. So I started investing in commercial real estate here. I would have invested in Florida. It's a lot more work, a lot tougher to invest out of state, but it's definitely possible. But I liked investing locally. I could use my real estate license. I can keep an eye on things. I have local people I know. It's so much easier. So I stuck with commercial real estate locally instead of going out of state. But a lot of people go out of state. A lot of people do it. Just realize you really have to have some time and some patience to find really good people. I would be the one finding the real estate agent, the property manager, the contractor, vetting all those people. I wouldn't rely on someone to find all that for you and just hope they do it okay and don't rip you off. Because like the number one way to get ripped off in real estate is to invest out of state and completely trust one person and never check on things. That happens more often than you think. Okay, we still got some time here. Oh, it keeps jumping up. All right. How to determine how much too much in terms of leveraging? Again, that's a personal decision. I always like to have, I think my portfolio now has about 50% leverage, which means my total value, the loans are about 50% of the total value. I would be okay going higher than that. I bought my first properties with 75, 80% leverage, but they're really good deals. So I didn't have 20% equity. Actually, I had like 40 or 50 again after repairing them. Then I refinanced some of those properties. The equity or leverage went up. I would say, if you're getting really good deals, it's smart to keep your leverage like at 60% or less if you can. Maybe 70%. Again, it's tough to go much higher than that, even with banks. And for me personally, I like it around 50%. But I can see how some people like to be more aggressive, get that higher. So it's up to you really, but I like around 50% personally. And that's assuming I'm getting really good deals. So I'm building equity myself, not just relying on appreciation. All right. Do you buy foreclosures? We used to. We used to buy foreclosures all the time. We used to buy at the foreclosure sale. We used to buy REOs. Used to buy short sales. I used to sell foreclosures as an agent as well. I could not buy those myself. That's a conflict of interest, but we did buy some. And so I have no problem buying foreclosures. There were some good deals in the past. I think the last time we bought a foreclosure was probably 3 years ago, just because there's no foreclosures in Colorado right now and very few in most areas. So a lot of people had this misconception that the only way to get good deals was to buy a foreclosure, was to buy a distressed property, was to buy a short sale. And that's not true. There's good deals all over. There's tons of people who haven't kept up their home, need to sell fast, have other problems, corporate owned properties, mismanaged rental properties. There's so many deals out there. They don't have to be foreclosures. So sure, we would buy foreclosures if they popped up and were a good deal, but we're not focusing on foreclosures or relying on them. And don't hem yourself into a situation where you only want to buy foreclosures, because you're missing out on so many other good deals. All right, just bought 2 quads, they cash flow great cap rate too, but not much room to build equity. Is this a bad deal? I think I answered that one already, right? I already answered that one. I said I like equity. Thank you. Yep, thank you too for joining. Do you invest in prop tech? I'm not sure exactly what that means, so I think my answer is no. Do you buy court auctions? Again, same as foreclosures, we would, but there's simply very few of them and not that great of deals. Let's see, value add shopping center deal, would you add another outside Colorado? Okay, I think I answered that one too, yep. Thoughts on wholesaling, coaching? Oh, that's an interesting question. Thoughts on the wholesaling coaching industry. So I see this on Facebook, I'm friends with a bunch of wholesalers. There's like a big war going on in wholesaling coaching right now. I haven't been totally in the loop and everything, but it seems like there's a lot of people who want regulation for wholesaling and then a wholesaling group and licensing and all kinds of stuff, and other people want it to be left alone. I haven't been in the loop to know exactly what's happening. I think that wholesaling can be a great business, can be amazing, but it's often oversold as being way easier than it is, being able to make way more money than most people can and not take as much money as it does. So I think there's amazing opportunities as a wholesaler, but I think it's also one of the big money sucks for coaching in over-promising results and what can actually happen and not telling you how much work it is. The wholesalers I know are full-time. That's all they do, right? They are just wholesalers and they do a really good job, but it's so much more work than people realize. So overall, wholesaling can be good. I think there might be some definite changes in the wholesaling industry as we see in different states where they're now requiring licenses and different things. But I do think you can make money on it. But yeah, it's not quite the get-rich amazing scheme that everyone says it is. Do you have a book on how to evaluate properties? I brought all of my book, almost all of them. This one talks about it, my flipping book. My commercial book talks about evaluating commercial deals. My How to Buy a House book talks about lots of that. And then my Build a Rental Property Empire book talks about evaluating deals, what type of rentals, all kinds of stuff there as well. And then yes, my negotiating book that I wrote, with Jay Scott. There we go. It also talks a ton about how to get those deals, negotiate all that. So thank you for the shameless plug. And if you guys missed it, I mentioned this earlier, this book's online in Target right now. That's so cool. So I thought that was neat. And nobody told me about it either. I forgot how I even found that, or someone sent it to me. Do you partner on rentals? Let's see, all right, one last question. This is a good one. So I have one partner who I've partnered on 2 rentals with, that's it. And they're the big ones. This building where I'm at, the $2.1 million, 68,000 square foot commercial building, and the $1.35 million multifamily property we bought a couple months ago. Everything else I own 100% on my own. I prefer to have it on my own, but these were big deals where he helped with the financing aspect, networking aspect. He actually got us a lender on one of them. So he's been a huge help, but I do almost all the work. So I am not opposed to partnering with people. It has to be the right person, the right deal. You have to be very, very careful who you work with. Everything has to be in writing, no matter how close they are, right? When I partnered with my dad on flips a very, very long time ago, we had everything in writing. It was all in writing. It was exactly how it worked. We didn't leave any chance to get confused or make errors on that side of it. So if you're gonna partner with people, they can be amazing, it can be great. My first suggestion is always make sure you need a partner. Don't get a partner just to share the risk or because you're scared or because you haven't learned enough, right? Make sure you really need that partner. They're bringing something to the table, money, work, deals, financing, whatever it is. And if you do partner, everything has to be in writing. everything laid out. What happens if one of you dies? What happens if one wants out? What happens if one runs out of money? All that's got to be in the agreement. And then you've got to have exit strategies for both of you beforehand. Like, okay, what's our plan? When are we selling? When are we going to refinance it? Are we going to keep it forever? How's the cash flow split up? Who does the work? And then finally, I'll leave with this. If one of you is doing the work, contracting, being an agent, managing the property, charge for that. Charge separately, right? Don't make that part of the partnership and just pro bono. Charge for the work you're doing, charge for the time you're spending. That way it's very clear what you're charged, what you're responsible for, how much money you're making, what's going on, what your responsibility is. And then if you don't want to do it later on, you can hand it off to somebody else. But okay, now we'll pay someone else to do that. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. That's about half an hour. I've got to get out of here pretty soon. Appreciate all the comments. Love seeing you guys share, like, comment on my posts as well too, so keep that up. Like I said, YouTube has a ton of in-depth videos on everything we're doing, including the mixed-use property we just bought with the mini market, grocery store, liquor store, and all that stuff, which I'm crazy enough to think I'm going to run. So we'll have all kinds of updates on that too. Another video coming out today on that one as well, on what's going on there. All right, thanks a lot. We'll try and do more of these live ones, so if you like these, go to my story, vote in my little poll I posted on if you want me to do more live ones, and we'll try and get more of these up. All right, thanks for watching. We'll be back. Take care.